Welcome to San Antonio. It's no longer Pi Day, but we got the next best thing. The Southwestern Pirates coming to town for conference baseball against the Trinity University Tigers. You see the starting lineup for the Pirates on your screen. Jake Harris, Christian Melillo, James Vaquero, Jacob Tanner, Maxwell Mims, Alexander Canada, Trace Organ, Liam Stonestreet, and Ben Foyer. That is your starting lineup for the Pirates of Southwestern. On the mound for the Tigers, Joseph Shavana, the senior out of Laredo, Texas. You see his stats on your screen. Welcome to the Tiger Network. I'm Reader's Oz, joined by Luke Terry. And Luke, just tell us a little bit about Joseph Shavana.
I mean, what an absolute workhorse for this Trinity pitching staff over the last several years. A true senior here in San Antonio that'll get his third appearance of the season in the early going. You can look at those numbers, 18 and a third that he's thrown so far, 16 Ks, 16 walks. The walks really a big number to circle, a pretty elevated number, but a lot of those came in the early portion of this year with some starts against Babson and Whitewater, but he was good his last time out last weekend, and I think he's going to try and continue that stretch here as he moves into SCAC play.
That pitch misses low to the senior out of Shreveport, Louisiana, Jake Harris, batting .302 on the year so far. 1-1 count pitch to Harris. Too low to the home plate umpire. 2-1 count. Harris, the leadoff batter, trying to get things started early for the Pirates against a tricky Joseph Shavana. He loops that one in to the corner for strike two.
Yeah, and Shavana joined us on the broadcast last weekend after his start. And he talked a little bit about struggling from the windup, it being a position where it's resulted in a little few too many walks for him.
Harris fouls that one off. Still stays a 2-2 count. Shavana trying to put away the leadoff man for the Pirates. And that one too low. So a full count for the leadoff Pirate. Working Shavana's pitch count early. Drawing out the AB. That does make contact. It goes into left center field. Looks like it will be a base hit for the leadoff Pirate. Harris will stop at first base. So a leadoff base hit for Southwestern.
Yeah, really the best of both worlds in the end result of that at-bat. Harris does a very nice job of working Shavana right there, gets it to a full count, does his job as leadoff hitter of just drawing a lot of pitches, and then on top of that, delivers by reaching base.
Bunt laid down. Runner goes to second. Throw to first is in time. So a bunt to move the runner over from Christian Melillo. One out in the top of the first, but a runner in scoring position now for James Vaquero.
Yeah, and just perfectly executed by Melillo right there. Puts that one right down the first base line. Looked like Shavana waited on it for as long as he possibly could. I know he's hoping that one would end up foul. The only play was going to be at first, and ultimately a good job of taking the out where it was.
Vaquero loses the bat on the swing. Has to go back and retrieve it.
Yeah, put a little bit more spit in those gloves. Shavana doing a nice job of coming up and in to start that at-bat, pitching him hard on the hands.
Vaquero listed as a catcher, being the DH in this game. Ball misses inside. Hitting .400 on the season. Trying to be a reliable three-hole bat. Drive Harrison for an early run. The 1-1 pitch. Contact made. Over to the first baseman. Steps on the bag. 2 outs in the inning, but the runner does advance to third. Christian Holloway fields it cleanly.
And a nice job from these Southwestern hitters coming up to the plate. The leadoff man does his job, and the subsequent batters also do theirs. Fortunately now, in a little bit more of a bind, 2 outs on the board. Jacob Tanner has to come through here if they want to score this first run of the game.
Great pitch from Shavana for strike 1. As Tanner watched that one in the zone. Contact made, but foul.
Ultimately, it feels like this is where Shavana's struggled the most this year, is failing to get ahead in counts. And so far today, he hasn't been ahead in all the counts he's been in, but he's at least not been behind.
Pitch above Tanner's head. Easy enough to lay off. 1-2 count. Shavana ahead in this count, trying to keep a goose egg on the board for the Pirates. It's fouled back. The AB continues.
And a good job right there from Tanner in the batter's box, being able to fight that one off. It was a breaking ball that didn't finish exactly where Shavana wanted it. Wanted it in that left-handed batter's box. Maybe caught a little bit too much at the edge of the plate.
And another foul ball. Tanner staying pesky. It's one thing pitchers hate the most. It's a batter that keeps fouling off and off and off and off again. Just staying patient. And another foul ball. They're really making Shavana work in the top of the first.
Yeah, but again, looking right there as if Shavana missed his location. A second time in this at-bat. Zara lined up well off that plate. And this time coming back inside.
Not in the zone. So another pitch will have to come.
More or less just been the inverse of wherever Lazara lines up at the moment.
2-2 pitch. And another good take from Tanner. Fills up the count. Can Tanner earn a free pass to first? Contact made. It is a pop fly. And finally tracked down. Jack Baker coming in to grab it. Looked a bit tumultuous, but got all the same. That's the top of the first inning, and no runs scored. But after the leadoff hit by Harris, we'll head to the bottom of the first on the Tiger Network. Welcome back to the Tiger Network. You see the starting lineup for the Tigers. It's Caleb Woodward, followed by Kai Tinker, then Nicholas Lazara, Christian Holloway, Ty Preston, Colt Harris, Jack Peterson, Corson Hastings, and then finally rounded out by Jack Baker as your starting lineup for the Trinity University Tigers. On the mound for the Southwestern Pirates, it's Greg Ferguson, the junior out of Magnolia, Texas. And Luke, you got to see him pitch. Could you tell us a little bit about him?
Yeah, he made an appearance here in San Antonio a couple of weeks ago in a neutral game against DeSales, and he was very, very impressive. Got a lot of run support in that game, which is certainly important for this Southwestern squad, but when he's on the mound, they don't need as much. You can see the numbers there, very, very respectable ERA at 2.57, but really the tale of two different guys. The strikeout to walk ratio here with Ferguson much better than his counterpart for Trinity. 23 Ks, 10 walks for a big 6'3" righty. A little bit of a different motion. You can see the full extension each time he goes back, and he has a really, really nice breaking ball that he throws off a fastball with pretty solid velocity as well.
And Caleb Woodward trying to be as fast as the drag racer on 281. Takes that one for strike one. Gets the call to be the leadoff man for the Tigers today. One pitch. Misses low and away. 2-1 count for Caleb Woodward. That pitch is away. 3-1 count. So batter's count for the leadoff man. Trying to respond to the Pirates' leadoff hit in kind. Contact made, ground ball. The throw to first is in time. So Caleb Woodward retired for the first out of the inning. A nice throw over to first by Ben Foyer, who's at the shortstop position for the Pirates today.
Yeah, and a good job from Ferguson on the mound right there, just coming back and putting something over the plate. Mentioned it in the open, discussing him in this motion. Long arm action makes it a little bit easier for a pitcher to fall behind and miss on the arm side. Just fixed his timing, and he's done so here to start the at-bat off against Kai Tinker as well.
Tinker fouls the first pitch from Ferguson off. 0-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. So an 0-2 hole is what the two-hole man finds himself in. That one's fouled back. Tinker staying alive. Opening conference action, trying to set a good tone for conference play. An SCAC that was decided by pretty much one game to determine seeding a year ago. That one in the air, ranging back is Oregon. The catch is made by Harris out in right field. Morgan going out there to support him just in case it fell. But it didn't, so 2 outs away in the bottom of the first.
Yeah, there was a especially long meeting at home plate before we got this one underway here in San Antonio. Umpires and coaching staffs taking a little bit extra time as experienced some weird weather down here in San Antonio. It's supposed to rain for most of the day. We've avoided that, but still the effects of that being felt here at Trinity Ballpark, as you know, the effects and conditions more often than not are wind playing a huge factor in this stadium.
Lazara, sharp grounder right to Alexander at first. Just steps on the bag himself, and that'll get us out of the first inning. So no runs come across in the first inning as we head to the second on the Tiger Network. Now coming up to the dish. Certainly a dangerous bat that we'll be looking at all weekend long. Maxwell Mims starting things off in the top of the second. Take strike one on the inside. Good breaking ball by Shavana. You can see the senior out of Friendswood in 365 with 4 home runs. It's fouled back quickly in a hole to Shavana. It's going to be a delicate process handling the 5-hole hitter.
Yeah, the 4 home runs jump off the page just a little bit, given the fact that one of them came here in San Antonio, and it was an absolute moonshot against DeSales.
He is retired quickly. It's the ground ball to Baker over at shortstop. It was a good throw to Holloway, and there's one out in the top of the second as we move down to Alexander Kanata. Kanata in the 6-hole spot for Southwestern, hitting 163. Takes that one for ball 1. Has a home run himself for RBI. Trying to improve his average. Swing and a miss. Evens up the count at 1-1. Shavana, next pitch. That one's grounded foul over to the Tiger dugout. Shavana will plant his feet for the next pitch. That one popped up. Coming in to grab it will be the first baseman, Christian Holloway. Coming in all the way from first down the line to make that catch. That'll be 2 outs in the top of the second. Shavana working efficiently.
Yeah, and just continuing to hammer the strike zone at the moment, doing a very nice job of forcing these Southwestern hitters to swing their bats. And so far, the majority of these Pirates haven't been able to put the ball into play with very solid contact. A couple of weakly hit balls here in this inning has Shavana just 1 out away from heading back to his dugout.
Trace Organ takes strike 1. And with the swing and a miss, quickly in a hole, 0-2. No strikeouts for Shavana on the day just yet. Looking to claim victim number 1. The 0-2 pitch on the way. Grounder gets through, heads into right field, and Trace Organ will keep the inning alive for now for Southwestern as he's aboard on first.
And don't hate the approach from Shavana right here, facing the 7-hole hitter well ahead, an 0-2 count, wanting to continue to attack the strike zone. Maybe just a little too flat on that delivery. I think that considering the fact he got a swing and miss out of Oregon on his breaking ball, the last pitch, the last offering, good time to go right back to it.
Liam Stonestreet takes strike 1. Catcher for Southwestern today, working with the base runner. And strike 2 called. So now he is quickly in an 0-2 hole. Doesn't want to sink the Pirates' chances in the top of the second. Now one in the turf. Runner stays at first. Oregon not willing to test out the arm of Lazara. After tracing the base, Stonestreet is set again. Fouled back. So the 1-2 pitch will have to come again. The wind blowing in, so home runs may be a bit harder to come by for both sides. That one misses. So evens up the count. 2's on the board for Liam Stonestreet. Trace Organ on first base. And that one is popped in to the outfield. And the catch is made on center by Peterson. And that'll be the end of the top of the second. Pirates strand the runner at first as we head to the bottom of the frame here in San Antonio. We are nearly underway here in the bottom of the second frame. Ferguson looking to pitch another strong frame. Tigers not wanting to go 3 up, 3 down again. Christian Holloway will try to prevent that from happening. Cleanup hitter hitting .366. Takes ball 1. 2 home runs on the year. One of many Tiger bats that Ferguson has to handle with care. Swing and a miss. 1-1 count.
Exactly what you have to do right there. Use that breaking ball pretty exclusively down in the zone. Not much that Christian Holloway could do with that last one. That one in on the hands, maybe a little bit better height for Holloway. Just couldn't quite turn on it all the way to get barrel on the baseball and keep it in play.
Holloway working with a 1-2 count against Ferguson. The pitch. Easy enough take for Holloway. Makes it a 2-2 count. As the cleanup hitter having to act as the leadoff man in the bottom of the second. And that one put out into right field. And the catch is made out in right by Jake Harrison. So Christian Holloway retired to start things off in the bottom of the second. Jake Harris, rather. My apologies.
Ferguson doing a nice job of continuing to hold his own. It's going to be a pitcher's duel in San Antonio based on what we're seeing in the early going of this one.
That one's taken by Ty Preston. Steps back into the box. Working against Ferguson. 1-0 count pitch. That one misses on the inside. 2-0 count.
And Preston returning to the lineup for the first time here in San Antonio in quite a while. I know he got the midweek start in the game in Marshall against East Texas Baptist, a game which he homered for the very first time in his career. I know that if you were to talk to him about the short porch out in left field, he probably would say that that had nothing to do with it, but certainly a very welcome sight as he does what he does very, very well and draws the walk here. First Trinity base runner of this one, a guy that's normally in that leadoff spot, that role for this Trinity offense, gets moved around here and finally has a base runner on.
It's good to see him back as Colt Harris will try and advance him. The senior hitting .343. And of course, probably had the biggest highlights of the day with his 3 home run game. And taken for ball 1. See if that affects how Ferguson approaches Colt Harris.
Yeah, he also had the benefit of playing on that field in Marshall with a little bit of a short fence out and left, and maybe one of them happened to just sneak over, but one of them was an absolute no-doubter off the bat of Colt Harris. Very typically, though, a guy that's going to sit in this 6th spot in this Trinity offense, and that's exactly where he is again. And right now, with a runner on ahead of him, he has an opportunity to do some damage.
Preston still on first. 2-0 count for Harris. As Ferguson struggling to find the zone. Next pitch. That one misses, so a 3-0 count to the 6-hole batter. As we're going to have a chat at the mound here in the bottom of the second inning. Looks like it will just be a chat. I think a very sensible meeting to call. Pitchers struggling to find the zone. Talk things out. Calm them down.
Yeah, it was a 4-pitch walk that was issued to Ty Preston just a couple moments ago. So now 7 consecutive balls out of Ferguson, who was we've talked about already here on the Tiger Network, done a very good job of matching what Joseph Shavana has done in the early going, attacking the strike zone, inducing some weak contact in the infield, and realistically just staying ahead of hitters in these counts. But now, very dangerous veteran Trinity bat in the box with an opportunity in a 3-0 count.
And that one too far inside. So Preston will head to second. Colt Harris will mosey his way on over to first. Runner in scoring position for the Tigers. For Jack Peterson, or the last guy you want to see in this position if you are Ferguson. The lefty has hit some balls pretty deep out into right field. Thankfully for Ferguson, the wind blowing in. And he finds strike one to Peterson.
And Stone Street behind the dish right there, doing a very nice job of maybe perhaps helping his starting pitcher out just a little bit. That was on the outside part of the plate, and it was a little bit down, but perfect frame. Had the home plate umpire convinced that it was right on this edge.
Peterson swings through that one. So in an 0-2 hole, Peterson will take a moment before stepping back into the batter's box. And they're going to call him out on a time violation. So Peterson out based on time. He was out of the box just for a bit too long. They'll have to head back to the dugout. We'll head on to Corson Hastings. And, don't really see a time call happen very often. I think that's Coach Scannell out there talking with the umpire.
Yeah, I think that's the first time call violation that I've seen on a broadcast this season. It has not happened for any of the squads here in San Antonio up till this point. Unfortunate break for the offense after they seemingly found a little bit of a rhythm, but certainly with Peterson behind in that count, 0-2, would have been a tough hill for him to climb. Now Trinity and Corson Hastings will have to capitalize if they, in turn, want to be the first team to score a run here in San Antonio.
The double play opportunity on the board for Southwestern now. The pitch from Ferguson. Taken for a strike. One count. Next pitch to Hastings. Too low. That is ball two. Runners stay. Stone Street able to keep it in front of him. The 1-2 pitch from Greg Ferguson. Contact made but fouled off. So a 2-2 count.
Yeah, and Hastings, another big lefty bat in this lineup. Dangerous in a similar way that Jack Peterson is, especially in the batter's box itself. Maybe not as much speed, but certainly looking to get a hold of something that he can do with on the pull side.
Swing and a miss. Hastings strikes out. And that's going to be the end of the second inning. We will head to the third inning. Stay tuned for the Battle of the Pinstripes here on the Tiger Network. Now striding on over to the plate to start the top of the third for the Pirates. It's Ben Foyer, freshman out of Houston, Texas, hitting 200 on the season, right at the Mendoza line. First pitch to him. Too far off the plate. Ball 1. 9-hole hitter for Southwestern. Trying to turn it over to the top with a base runner aboard, but swings through that one for strike 1.
Yeah, but a pretty important get for Shavana for that exact reason. Trying to approach his second time through the order with the base path unscathed. Want to keep it clear, but certainly will have a job to do at the moment, trailing this count 2-1.
Contact made, grounder over to Baker. Throw to Holloway in time. And Baker's seen a lot of work today, but he is efficient all the same. As out number 1 on the board in the top of the third. Go back to Jake Harris. Back at the top for Southwestern. Start the game with the single. Trying to do more of the same as the battle of the pinstripes rages on. Called strike 1. So a 1-1 count for Harris. And that pitch misses low. So Harris in the more favorable side of the count, 2-1, but they can quickly change with the next pitch. That one called strike 2. So a 2-2 count for Harris against Shavana.
But this is exactly where he was in his first plate appearance of the day. Was able to foul off the next pitch, then saw a ball on the outside, and then ultimately singled.
But a swing and a miss sends Harris back to the dugout as Shavana gets strikeout number 1 on the day in the form of the leadoff man.
Does a nice job not wanting to play around with Harris in his second time up to the plate right there. Gets even in the count at 2-2, recognizes the opportunity to retire that 1-hole hitter and comes right in on the hands with a fastball. The velocity just a little bit too much. Shavana, again, just 1 out from heading back to the dugout.
Christian Melillo makes contact but fouls that pitch off. So in an 0-2 count, very quickly, as Shavana really going after the Pirate bats now.
And back up on the mound very, very quickly. It seemed like he was ready to go, but Zara relays that sign up to him.
That pitch in the turf, easy enough take for Melillo.
Yeah, good job from Melillo right there. Falling behind in this count pretty big time 0-2, and his first real opportunity to actually swing it here this evening.
Makes contact over to Tinker. The third of first will be in time. And that's the end of the top of the third. Pirates go 3 up, 3 down, as the Tigers will look to roar back in the bottom of the frame. Well, he's had plenty of work over at shortstop. Time to do some work with the bat for Jack Baker. It's the 9-hole hitter leading things off in the bottom of the third for the Tigers. Contact immediately, and that one's going to get down for a base hit. Jack Baker, first pitch, first swing, first hit.
And a nice job of ruining Ferguson's perfect day so far here in the bottom of the third. Jack Baker's kind of been an enigma for this offense all year long. I don't think there's a name that has been moved around more, who has had various outcomes to his at-bats. We talked about it the last time we were on the air. He was a guy who I felt like was behind in counts almost immediately every time he stepped up to the plate, but there he takes second and shows that he's capable of doing a lot for this team, and he's certainly someone that they will need to get going offensively, especially now as they enter their conference slate.
Caleb Woodward now working with the runner in scoring position. Takes that one for ball 2. Grounded out to Ben Foyer over at shortstop last time, back in the first. You can see Baker on your screen. A 2-0 pitch. Button is pulled back. Either way, it is strike 1 to Woodward. We'll see if he flashes bunt again. Pirates more aware of Baker back at second now. And they're going to call a balk on Ferguson. And Baker's going to head over to third anyways.
Yeah, and kind of awkward right there because it looked like Woodward in the batter's box might have called time to the home plate umpire. I think he was granted it, but of course that balk coming from the field umpire.
That pitch misses low and away. So a 3-1 count for Woodward. A very favorable position now for the Tigers, as Baker's just advanced on the bases due to Pirate mistakes. Full count for Woodward, though. Perhaps a bit of pressure coming from Baker's presence on the base paths. Full count pitch to Caleb Woodward. On away, ball gets away. But Baker is content to stay at third. And Woodward will head on over to first, drawing the walk.
Yeah, you'll see this one right here. It's going between the legs of the catcher, Stone Street. As we're going back a couple of moments, actually. Baker still out there at second. See Woodward mouthing. And there's a little bit of movement of the shoulders of Ferguson on the mound right there. I have to imagine that's very likely what the call was on that balk.
And the steal attempt by Woodward is successful. So 2 runners in scoring position for the Tigers now, as it's been a very good year for the Tigers on the base paths. They've been much more aggressive. You see the throw. Play was maybe there, but a bit of traffic over at second base.
Yeah, and it looked like it was Foyer at short that was coming across and selling it as if he was going to cut that ball off and be prepared to make a relay back home to Stone Street if Baker was to take off from third. Does a nice job of just freezing him there and ultimately lets that one through. Organ over there at second, also with an opportunity to snag it and try and tag out Caleb Woodward. Looked like a very close play, just couldn't quite get it on the body in time.
2-1 pitch to Kai Tinker. Taken for strike 2. Ferguson and the Pirates still looking for out number 1 in the bottom of the third. Sacrifice fly opportunity at play for Trinity. That one put out into left center field. It's going to get down. Baker's going to come home to score. Here comes Woodward. He is safe. Tinker will head over to second, and it's 2 RBI for Kai Tinker. Tigers in the lead 2-0.
And Tinker continues a very, very strong fifth-year campaign here in San Antonio. He might not have the most pop in his bat, but he's stepped up to the plate this year, and he's put very, very solid contact on the baseball. That time, even with the wind blowing in, it might have aided him just a little bit. He drops it into very shallow left center field, and it was Mims that was closing in from center trying to make that play, and ultimately
the bunt laid down by Lazara is successful in moving Tinker over to third. So old school play, just push the runner across with the bunt. Lazara does his job. Force the Pirates to take the out at first in exchange for a runner at third. Now for Christian Holloway.
And an interesting offensive approach here in the bottom of the third. Pretty content to not play small ball. It looked like maybe Woodward would for just a second in his at-bat, and then this Trinity offense gets aided, of course, by that balk call. So he gets the opportunity to swing it. Very aggressive base running, puts the first 2 on the board, as it was Woodward that was sent from second on a very shallow ball, even to the left side of the outfield. It was a strong throw that came home, but he was being sent all the way by the Trinity third base coach. Now, already with 2 on the board, Coach Scannell looking to scratch a third and hopefully give Shavana on the mound a little bit more cushion to work with.
Big swing and a miss from Holloway. Makes it a 1-2 count. Clean up bat. Trying to do what cleanup hitter should and bring home the run. Grounder right to Foyer. Throw to first in time. So 2 outs in the bottom of the third. Now the Tigers will have to get the run home the old-fashioned way. They're going to need a hit. He's now stepping up to the plate. 5-hole hitter, Max Milligan. Milligan coming in for Ty Preston. First pitch taken for strike 1. I believe this is just a strategic decision, and that Ty Preston's okay. That one fouled back. 0-2 count.
Yeah, it certainly is an interesting one. I think I saw it flashed on my screen. After the last offensive half inning, Milligan came in as a defensive replacement for Preston in the outfield after Preston had reached base. Didn't see anything out in the field related to him, but I believe it was a lower leg injury that he was dealing with, the reason he missed some time. So don't want to speculate here on Tiger Network, but of course, getting out there on the base paths, a little bit of movement out there, and then immediately being replaced in the outfield. Milligan, certainly a guy that is capable with the bat in his hands. He comes into this spot, a different one in the order. A guy that's typically, when he's been starting games for this Trinity offense, been in the 1 hole.
That one high and away. So a full count for the Beekeeper. So he works with Tinker at third. Not a position that he's unfamiliar with. Very similar back against Babson. And he draws the walk. So good piece of work by Milligan. Keeps the inning going for the Tigers. Runners at the corners. Milligan coming into a similar position. Coming in for Ty Preston. Was a bit thrown into the fire in that one, but this time perhaps a bit more prepared, as Colt Harris has an opportunity to drive in Tinker. Check over at first. Nothing doing over there.
Yeah, and it was Baker who got this inning started for Trinity. He singled back up the middle, and then ultimately stole on that next offering from Ferguson going home. Wouldn't be too surprised to see Milligan on the move. This time, however, Ferguson very conscious of the runner, doing something that he didn't when Baker was aboard, and checking over already a couple of times at first.
They want to ensure they have a force out at second. Pitch finally comes. It is a strike to Harris. The second pickoff attempt, a bit more wild than the last. Now, Milligan just taking 1 or 2 steps back. So he's checked on for a third time. So an 0-1 count for Colt Harris. Takes that one for ball 1. Runners at the corners. Tigers having scored 2 runs, still wanting to do some more damage. And that one too low. Not pulling Harris. He's at the advantage now. A 2-1 count for the 6-hole hitter. Seeing the Tiger offense explode for many runs in an inning. That's Ferguson checking on Milligan again.
Yeah, Milligan being forced to dive back in that time. Mentioned, he only had to take a couple of steps back, a couple of checks ago.
And the appeal, they're going to say Harris did swing, so it'll make it a 2-2 count.
He's done a nice job of checking over and keeping Milligan honest at first base. Has not had the opportunity to move, and simultaneously has kept Harris a little off balance in the box as it's really drawn out this at-bat.
Low and away for ball 3. The count is full.
See a replay on that check swing. It certainly does look like he went around, so a good call from that umpire down the first base line, but certainly not one that Colt Harris is too big a fan of, I'm sure.
Contact made, gets through the first second base gap. 1 run will come in to score. Milligan heads over to third, and it's going to be an RBI single for Colt Harris, as that will drive in Tinker.
And just a great piece of hitting from Harris right here. Looks like it's a fastball down and away from Ferguson. And Harris and a Trinity offense that is so typically very, very pull happy. A team that struggles to just shorten up and go the other way with the baseball. It's exactly what he does right there. And now Trinity leads by 3 because of it.
And the first pitch fouled off by Jack Peterson. We were curious about how it was going to look on the stats page. Looks like they assessed a strikeout looking. So no creative text there. And he was called for that looking strikeout based on a time violation. Peterson will look to work a little bit quicker. Down 0-1 in the count. They checked over at first, making sure Colt Harris didn't go anywhere. That one too high. Pitch maybe slipped out of the hand a bit too early for ball 1. Runners at the corners for the Tigers still. And that one's fouled back. So a favorable count for Ferguson, 1-2 to the lefty Jack Peterson. The pitch on the way. That one is put in the air, but foul. Peterson staying alive and keeping at the bottom of the third alive. Tigers have put up 3 runs in the bottom of the third inning. But still trying to pull away even more. Runner goes. Ball is put out into the outfield. And the catch is made by Trace Organ as he ranges over into the outfield to catch that one. So end of the third inning as the second baseman goes to the outfield to make the catch. Tigers score 3 against Ferguson. We head to the top of the fourth in San Antonio. Top of the fourth here in San Antonio. James Vaquero will take strike one. 393 on the year. 0 for 1 today. Victim of a ground out. Hit it right over to Christian Holloway. It's a 1-1 count now. Pirates will look to respond here in the top of the fourth. The Tigers scored 3 in the bottom of the third. 1-1 pitch. And they're going to say that Vaquero swung. So a strike called there. 1-2 count. Shavana keeping that up-tempo pace in effect. And did he go? And they're going to say, yes, he did. So Vaquero tried to check the swing, but not good enough. He strikes out, and the up-tempo pace from Shavana working like a charm.
And we'll see another look at this one. Vaquero had his feet planted in the batter's box. Angle blocked just a little bit. You can see how far forward he brings his hands in his attempt to check that swing and hold that barrel back.
That one is fouled back by Jacob Tanner, who was down in an 0-2 count. Very quick. Cleanup hitter trying to be a spark plug. Get something going on offense for the Pirates, but wisely takes that one. 1-2 count. Shavana misses the location on that previous pitch. Ground ball. More work for Baker, but is easy as pie for him. 2 outs in the top of the fourth. The Pirates starting to go 1-2-3 again.
And interesting on that last delivery. Of course, the pitch before, Shavana spiking well ahead of the plate with the breaking ball. Didn't look too happy with the spot that he finished with on that last pitch either. Ultimately, a good result as it induced more soft contact that was easily playable in the infield behind him. But Shavana continuing to work and tweak with every single pitch out there on the mound. Every single outing has something in mind.
That one skips off the turf. It's a 1-1 count for Maxwell Mims. Dangerous 5-hole batter. Next pitch. Swing and a miss. So a 1-2 count for Mims. Shavana would like nothing more than to retire the dangerous Pirate bat. Tried to get Mims to chase. He doesn't bite.
A very impressive breaking ball right there nonetheless. And one thing that's nice to see is Shavana spots that pitch very, very well. A couple of consecutive offerings right there that he has executed and hit his spot on. I think no matter what, he has very, very dangerous stuff on the mound. It's just more so with Shavana than some of the other arms in this staff, a matter of whether or not he's executing pitches the way he wants to.
And Mims is caught looking. Shavana gets strikeout number 3. This one coming against Maxwell Mims. Pirates go 3 up, 3 down in the top of the 4th. Due up for the Tigers is Corson Hastings, Jack Baker, and Caleb Woodward in the bottom of the frame. We'll see Corson Hastings up then on the Tiger Network.
Now pitcher for Southwestern, number 24, Ryan Corbett.
Welcome back to the Tiger Network. You may have seen when Ferguson went out to warm up, may have tweaked his arm during his warm-up pitch phase before the start of the inning. Had to come off, and now a new arm on the mound for Southwestern. A bit earlier than they expected. This is number 24, Ryan Corbett, out of James Bowie High School. The junior having to come in an awkward position. Certainly look to lower that ERA. And it's always a unfortunate thing for when the starter that you wanted to go a couple more innings is taken out prematurely.
Yeah, and it had started to work into my mind the end of the 3rd inning, as Ferguson's pitch count was up over 60 through just 3 frames. It was a pretty high-intensity inning as he was working with a lot of traffic from the very start of it. Ultimately, Trinity was able to score 3 runs. Looked like he was okay, but you're right. Came back out, delivered home during his warm-ups, and knew pretty immediately that something was wrong. And we're all too familiar here on the Tiger Network with pitchers' injuries as of late. So wish him all the best and hope that it's certainly nothing major. But for now, Ryan Corbett comes into this game with some work to do. Have to wonder exactly how warm he was out in that Southwestern bullpen when his name got called, considering how early we are here in San Antonio still, and just a 3-0 scoreline at that.
Corson Hastings rockets the first pitch up the middle for a base hit. First pitch, first hit for Corson Hastings on the day. Gets the first look at Corbett and immediately sends one into center field. Just a little grounder up the middle.
Yeah, not wasting any time at all right there. Imagining that as a new arm into this game, he's certainly going to want the benefit of working ahead in the count. And Hastings was exactly right about that. Fastball that caught just too much of the plate.
Bunt attempt goes foul. Jack Baker had a single back in the third. Really started off that offensive explosion in that inning. Now works with Hastings on first. Clearly the goal is to try and advance him. We'll see if he flashes bunt again. The bunt laid down much more effectively. Throw over to first. Will be in time. But Baker does his job as Hastings is over on second base now.
And it looked like perhaps 2 consecutive breaking balls right there from Corbett. And I think the first time out of the hand, Baker a little bit surprised to see that offering. Makes it a more difficult job to get the bunt down. The second time around was certainly ready for it, had the barrel all the way out front and ensured that he did his job, and that's exactly what happened. Kept it away from Corbett just enough that the only throw available to the pitcher was that to first base.
So a 1-1 count for Caleb Woodward. So we're back at the top of the Tiger batting order. 0 for 1 today. Grounded out in the first, drew a walk in the third. Eventually he would come around to score. Swing and a miss. Corbett pulled the string on that pitch. So now Woodward added to disadvantage. 1-2 count. Hastings standing on second. And swings through that one. Freshman will head back to the dugout as Corbett collects his first strikeout of the day.
And a nice job of just settling in here. Hasn't necessarily been beat in an egregious way. Corson Hastings just went up there anticipating something that was going to catch the plate in the first offering. He's ready to swing at it, and that's exactly what he got. Just happened to run into something. And very quickly, Corbett has turned this inning around for himself, and it's just 1 out away from getting the Southwestern hitters back in the boxes themselves.
Kai Tinker now tasked with bringing home the runner at second. 2 balls in a row makes it a 2-0 count. The senior 1 for 2 today. Had a 2 RBI single in the third. And it's a strike, 1 call for Tinker. Ball popped out of Stone Street's glove, able to collect it. So Hastings will stick there at second. Ground ball. And Foyer having to really come in for it. Throw to first. There will be no play at first, so runners at the corners for the Tigers, as it was a ground ball so weak that Foyer couldn't make the play.
Yeah, and we've already talked about it on the broadcast. These Trinity hitters being so pull happy that sometimes they fail to go the opposite direction with offerings. And that's kind of exactly what played to the favor of Kai Tinker right there. A fastball on the outside part of the plate that he gets all the way around and somehow well ahead of it, manages to roll over it so softly out to short that he beats it out pretty easily.
Nicholas Lazara takes ball 1. The catcher 0 for 1 today. Sacrifice in the third. Grounded out in the first. The next pitch to him. That one driven out into right field. And that's going to be catch made. So a threatening hit by Nick Lazara out into right field, collected by the outfielder. That'll be the end of the 4th inning. We head to the 5th inning. Tigers still up 3-0, but they strand runners on the corners. We're nearly halfway through this one here in San Antonio. It's Alexander Kanata will step on up to the Oche for the Pirates. First pitch from Shavana. Bunt flashed, and it's going to be strike one. And Luke, we noticed on the stat sheet that Shavana has been very aggressive on the mound today.
Yeah, someone that has struggled a little bit, at least in the early portion of this year, with the walks handed out, but he has yet to give one out here in San Antonio today. And now I believe it's 65 total pitches, 44 of them across 4 strikes. Make that 45 right there. So very nearly 70% of all of his offerings have been recorded as strikes here through a full 4 innings.
Contact made, but fouled off. As Kanata stays alive. 0 for 1 today. Popped up to Holloway over at first base back in the 2nd inning. It was one that Holloway had to run down the line to catch. Ground ball, foul in the direction of the Tiger dugout. So still a 1-2 count, not favorable for Kanata, having to play more of a defensive game in this AB. Pitch too low, evens it up at 2-2.
But a very nice delivery from Shavana right there nonetheless. Just an even better take by Kanata at the plate.
That one runs inside and low. So a full count for the 6-hole batter. The pitch from Shavana. Swing and a miss. And Shavana transcends HD. Now he has 4 Ks to his name. You can see the strikeout clear as day.
Nice job of just coming back in that at-bat and ultimately finding a way to get that strikeout. Kanata made it a pretty difficult task, taking a couple of pitches, battling off a couple of others. Ultimately, Shavana continuing to prevail here in San Antonio as he'll face the bottom part of this Southwestern offense for the 2nd time through.
Chase Organ took strike 1. Now watches that one for ball 1. Similar idea on that pitch. Organ 1 for 1 today. Singled in the 2nd. makes contact but fouls it off. So another favorable count for Shavana. 1-2.
Of course, mentioned already that Shavana joined us after his start last Friday night. It's something that, we've gotten into the habit of.
Foul tip strikeout for Shavana, as he's really running through the Pirates now, putting holes in their sails. As the offensive attack for Southwestern, it's hard to come by against Shavana right now.
This is another performance that I would certainly love to talk to him after, as he induces that foul ball. Stone Street hitting this one off of his front leg, so everyone will stay put for the moment. It seems like it's a pretty steady improvement, and it's really interesting to talk to Shavana from the perspective of, making adjustments game over game, at bat over at bat, pitch over pitch. He's someone that is constantly tweaking as he leaves that breaking ball just a little bit up, and this is on top of the strike zone right there. But this is another game where clearly he is making adjustments and again is continuing to keep those walk numbers down.
And the play made in left field by Max Milligan. Sliding catch will end the top of the fifth. Web gem by Milligan for sure. We head to the bottom of the inning. Tigers will have Christian Holloway leading it off for them when we come back on the Tiger Network. Deja vu for Christian Holloway as he's leading off an inning yet again, this time in the bottom of the fifth. He's flown out, he's grounded out. And another grounder over to Foyer. Throw to first. Is going to bring the first baseman off the bag, so Holloway safe at first as Kanata unable to pick it without coming off the bag. See it on the replay. And he stretches. Looks like maybe he barely came off the bag.
Yeah, it's a very, very close play over there at first. Unfortunately, perhaps for the Pirates, that umpire playing on the other side of the bag certainly makes it a more difficult angle for him to make that call. And that's really the only thing you could ask for differently, is perhaps he has something a little bit more from the vantage of the pitcher's mound and doesn't have any obstruction of his view in that scenario.
So a tough break for the Pirates, perhaps. They check Holloway over at first. He's safe. He has to slide in, though. Milligan off-road today. See if he gets his first at-bat here. Next pitch from Corbett on the way. Shows bunt, pulls back wisely, as that will be ball one. Milligan working with the cleanup hitter on first base, and Christian Holloway. Bunt shown again. Not a very effective one. Having to bunt a breaking ball, certainly a tough task. Corbett doesn't want the bunt attempt to be in play. I'd be surprised if they go for it again on a 1-2 count.
Yeah, especially difficult on a big breaking ball that stays up in the zone like that one right there.
The 1-2 pitch. That one put out into left field. And that one's going to get down. Runners will head over to second and third. It looks like maybe it one-hopped into the Tiger bullpen. So a ground rule double, perhaps, for the Tigers. As that fence over at the bullpen, very short.
Yeah, and you can see the flags continuing to fly here in San Antonio, blowing across the screen from left to right. But Milligan's strike of that ball just faded the opposite direction the entire way. Perhaps a little bit late on that fastball, but a good end result for him right there, just continuing to fade towards the line, and perhaps that wind keeping it just fair.
So Colt Harris takes strike one. 1 for 1 today. Has drawn a walk. Has an RBI single. Swing and a miss. Quickly down in a 0-2 hole. Well, it has the ability to put this game at a 5-run advantage for the Tigers. If you can put one out into the gap. The 0-2 pitch. Wisely watches there for ball 1. No double play, barring anything weird happening on the table for the Pirates. Ball gets away from Stone Street for just a moment, but both runners content to stay where they are. Does even up the count at 2-2.
And pretty interesting alignment here in San Antonio. You can see now both infielders playing back at pretty traditional double play depth, but both corners playing in right even with their bases, trying to cut that runner over at third. Felt like just a moment ago I saw Foyer over there at short a little bit ahead of his counterpart at second.
That one fouled off as Colt Harris has worked all the way back to a full count. First base is open. So a walk here wouldn't drive in a run. Certainly don't want the bases loaded with no outs on the board, though. And Colt Harris swings through that one. Harris will head back to the dugout. Corbett gets another strikeout. Number 2 on the day.
And certainly a free pass wouldn't have done any harm right there, but if you're Southwestern and you can get into positions or opportunities with 2 strikes on hitters, you really have to take advantage of them. You don't want any balls in play, especially with no outs on the board that would threaten a couple more runs for Trinity.
The ball gets through the gap. 1 run will score. Milligan comes in to score as a throw to home plate, not in time. So a 2 RBI single for Jack Peterson. Takes the first pitch and just hits it right past the glove of Oregon. And that allows 2 runs to score. And for this game to get slightly more out of hand as the Tigers lead by 5.
Yeah, and as soon as we talk about Corbett doing a nice job of remaining aggressive in a full count scenario with a bag open, he's just a little bit too aggressive perhaps against Peterson. Or maybe on the other side of things, Peterson also getting off a little bit lucky. Talked about it last time Kai Tinker was up with the bat in his hands, swinging on a pretty high velocity pitch on the outside part of the plate, just rolling over something he was well out in front of and just getting a break based on the bounce. Same scenario for Jack Peterson right there, well out ahead of a pitch on the outside part of the plate.
Peterson goes to second, and he's going to be safe. Peterson enjoy standing at first base just about as much as college students like spring break ending. Another stolen bag for Peterson on the year. So a runner now in scoring position for Corson Hastings.
And Peterson finally had his stolen bases streak come to an end in that midweek game against East Texas Baptist. It was a streak that was intact since almost the time he arrived here in San Antonio. Talked about it on the broadcast already this season. Was caught stealing in his very first career attempt and then rattled off about 30-plus consecutive.
Grounder taken by the third baseman. Throw over to first is in time. So Jacob Tanner able to retire Corson Hastings by getting the throw over to Kanata. But a runner at third base for the Tigers. No sacrifice fly opportunity, but Jack Baker already has a single today, and he sacrificed in the fourth. Can he get an RBI for himself? Peterson waiting at third. First pitch in for strike one to Jack Baker, the senior out of Sugar Land, Texas. Next pitch from Corbett. In there for strike two. Good location. Now Baker trying not to end the inning for the Tigers. Contact made, but foul ball. Baker stays alive.
Feels like Corbett is certainly cognizant of where he is in this Trinity order. 9-hole hitter coming up to the plate, and he's attacked him right off the bat.
Swing and a miss. Ball in the dirt. But they're able to retire the 9-hole batter as Stone Street makes the easy throw to first. So a strikeout will be added to Baker's scorecard. We head to the 6th inning. Tigers put across 2 more runs. They lead by 5 over the Pirates. We will take a break on the Tiger Network as we get set for the 6th. He may be the 9-hole hitter, but Ben Foyer is leading off another inning for the Pirates. This time the top of the 6th. Back in the 3rd, he grounded out to Jack Baker. Shabana's first pitch of the inning. Bunt flash, but pulled back wisely as ball 1 is taken. The next pitch from Joseph Shabana. Low and away for ball 2. Shabana has 5 strikeouts over 5 innings of work. That one's fouled off. Make it a 2-1 count. Still trying to stay aggressive against these Pirate bats. Swing and a miss as Foyer was digging for treasure on that one. That ball ends up in the turf.
And this at bat, one of the few here this evening where Shavana has fallen behind, but doing an excellent job of coming right back at Foyer. And spikes that one well out to the side. Lazara does what he can to put a body on it just on the off chance that Foyer offers, but he doesn't, and it sends the count full.
I want it put out in to right center field. And that one is going to be a hit for Foyer as it gets down out in right center. Either Peterson had the play most likely, but just couldn't get there in time. So a hit for Foyer brings up Jake Harris. 1 for 2 today. Singled to start the game off, but then struck out in the third. So now Shavana working with runner at his back. Ground ball could turn 2. The flip to second in time, over to first. And a double play turned by the Tigers. Patented double play. Baker goes to Harris, who goes to Holloway. A 6-4-3. It's a classic.
And if there's been one arm in this Trinity bullpen that's been able to dial him up, it's been Joseph Shavana. I believe I was told that, I don't know if this is that Babson series or that Whitewater series where he came in and start either 1 or 2 of his season and induced 4 double play ground balls in the same game. He had one last weekend, and he gets one here in a spot where he needed it probably the absolute most. The bases have been pretty empty for the most part this evening. Some traffic to start off the top of the 6th as Southwestern tries to climb back into this one, but he puts an end to it very quickly.
That one fouled off by Christian Melillo. Melillo 0 for 1 today. Sacrifice bunt in the first. Grounded out in the third. Over to Kai Tinker. Melillo Jr. out of Houston, Texas. Another ground ball. Will even up the count at 2-2. As Joseph Shavana will try to push his start into the 7th inning. The even count pitch on the way. Swing and a miss. Lazara applies the tag just in case. And the top of the 6th is over. Pirates still no runs on the board. Tigers have Caleb Woodward, Kai Tinker, and Nick Lazara due up in the bottom of the frame. We'll see them bat soon on the Tiger Network.
Bottom of the 6th, leading off for the Tigers, for right fielder number 48, Caleb Woodward.
Bottom of the 6th in San Antonio, Texas. As the Pirates, who have sailed down from Georgetown, and Ryan Corbett going up against Caleb Woodward to start things off here in the bottom of the frame. Ball 1 to the freshman.
And Woodward trying to get something going here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Trinity already out ahead of this one, 5-0. could perhaps grow this lead a little bit more now that they're finally into conference play and will have the run rule in effect.
That one grounded right to the first baseman. Kanata puts it away himself. Goes to step on the bag, so Woodward retired. For those of you who don't know, the run rule for SCAC baseball is a 10-run lead after 7. Tigers at a 5-run lead right now. Certainly in the realm of possibility.
But still quite a bit of work to get there. Just another acknowledgement of the fact that we are finally underway here in the 2024 campaign in conference play. Not the only conference action going on this evening either.
Kai Tinker with the 1-0 count. Next pitch from Corbett. Went in there for strike 1, evens up the count. Yeah, we had quite a shocking result in the opening weekend.
Yeah, not day one of SCAC play either. Things got underway in Seguin yesterday as St. Thomas went to Texas Lutheran, took 2 games that doubleheader.
And that one aligned into left field. It's going to roll to the wall. Heading over to second is Kai Tinker. And it's a stand-up double in the bottom of the 6th with 1 out. So a good piece of hitting from Kai Tinker, just putting it right down the left field line.
Yeah, and his campaign continues here in San Antonio, doing another nice job of just getting his hands through. Talked about it. Not the most physically imposing bat in this order, but uses his hands to his advantage. Talk about it in the field quite a bit. A very, very solid defensive third baseman for that same exact reason. Great hands in the field, and so far great hands offensively this season as well.
That brings up Nick Lazara. 0 for 2 today. Grounded out to the first baseman. Flew out to right field. A deep fly out. That one is taken for ball 2. Or like fly out to right center field, but the right fielder, Jack Harris, caught it. Or Jake Harris, rather. Sacrificed in the 3rd to move runners across. That one, bit of a whoopsie swing right to Corbett. Retires Lazara. Certainly didn't mean to make contact with the check swing, but, you know, sometimes in baseball, that just happens.
Yeah, it looked like Lazar's front shoulder had flown open quite a bit right there. He was well out ahead of this one. Recognized it was probably best that he let it go, but had started his hands, and as he started to turn out of there, I think it just turned that barrel right into the baseball and enough contact that it put the ball in play in fair territory.
Christian Holloway takes the first ball low and inside. Yeah, over in Seguin, St. Thomas, and Texas Lutheran. It's certainly an interesting result, to be sure. As Holloway rips that one over into left field. And that one will hit off of the wall. Or rather, it's going to be a catch by Christian out in left field. So, bottom of the 6th is over. We will head to the 7th here on the Tiger Network. Joseph Shavana has been pitching a gem so far. We'll see how his work continues against James Vaquero. The reliable batter has been kept quiet. 0 for 2 today. Grounded out to Christian Holloway at first, who made the put out himself and struck out in the fourth. Takes that one for ball 1 to the junior from Houston, Texas.
Yeah, that's now Shavana's 91st pitch of the evening. Can't very much fault Vaquero as he swings through that one a little wildly right there. Again, Shavana going in on the hands against Vaquero, who is right up against that line in the batter's box, trying to tow it as best he can.
That pitch misses. So 2-1 count for Vaquero. Shavana proving why he's one of the best in the conference. The bunt is laid down. Shavana will field it. Throw to first. Will be in time. Shavana's throw beats out Vaquero, who is now 0 for 3 today. The bunt was good, but Shavana's throw just a bit better.
Yeah, the bunt was maybe better than good right there. A 2-1 count after not having squared up to this point. A great time to do so, and he spots it very well. Keeps it towards the third base side. You'll see on the replay that is, in fact, in time. Holloway doing a nice job of just putting his frame on the inside part of the bag and comes to it just enough. But Shavana jumping off the mound practically, racing over to that one and making the nice strong throw over to first, doing just a tremendous job of fielding his position right there, even very late in this ball game. Now closing in on 100 pitches tonight. And he's not been very phased, but of course, as soon as we get into it, it looks like that one sneaks in, and it's going to catch Jacob Tanner as he heads back to first base to make way for Maxwell Mims.
Mims has been conspicuously quiet today. 0 for 2. Ground out and struck out looking, but rocks one out into center field. A base hit for Maxwell Mims. Has to feel good to finally get some offense going here in the top of the 7th. So now there's a runner in scoring position in the form of Jacob Tanner. Maxwell Mims will stand on first as Alexander Kanata, another bat looking for his first hit.
A little shocking how quickly things develop here in San Antonio. Just 2 pitches. One puts a runner on first with a hit by. Next offering singled back up the middle. Again, not incredibly hard hit contact, but Mims making the most of things and just able to find a way to sneak something through the middle of the infield.
And a chat with Joseph Shavana. Of course, talked about Shavana's ability to induce a double play ground ball. Pirates would be trying their best to avoid anything like that happening. It looks like it will just be a conversation. Shavana will stay in. They're probably looking for him to go 7 innings. That would be the preference. But Jacob Tanner at his back. And Maxwell Mims over to his left. 1 out in the top of the 7th. Pitch taken for a strike to Kanata.
And of course, we've already seen 1 double play ground ball induced by Shavana here this evening.
The bearded bat swings through that one. 0-2 count. The 0-2 pitch coming up from Joseph Shavana. Tried to get Kanata chasing, but he doesn't bite just yet. A 1-2 count.
And hard to tell exactly what that delivery was with Tanner out there at second base and Shavana finishing.
And that ball is spiked. Ball gets away from Lazara. Throw over to third. Is not going to be in time. So Lazara made a pretty good throw over to third. Thought he had him, But instead, both runners are going to advance. Double play no longer on the table after the spiked pitch by Shavana.
Yeah, and Lazara jumped after the call was made by the field umpire and continues to shake his head at the moment. It was a very, very strong throw right on the money. That spiked pitch just got a little too far away from him, and it was a good read by Tanner out there at second. Just put his head down and got all the way over to third.
Full count for Kanata against Shavana. And that's going to be a walk. Bases are loaded now. Not the worst thing in the world because you have force outs at every base, but certainly a precarious situation for the Tigers to be in with Trace Organ coming up to bat.
Yeah, and I think the thing that hurts the most about that one is the fact that you were ahead 0-2 in that at-bat and then ultimately issue the free pass with 4 consecutive balls. It's really the one area of improvement that I think maybe Shavana would probably point to himself. He's had some opportunities tonight where he's gotten ahead against hitters and maybe has just wasted some pitches and an inability to really just put batters out.
Quickly puts Organ in a 2-strike count as he tries to put away the 7-hole hitter in the top of the 7th. Pitch pops out of the glove of Lazara, but no base runner moving from their spot. 1-2 count for Oregon. Lazara will try and lead Shavana out of the top of the 7th. That one misses the location. Evens up the count at 2-2. The last thing Shavana would want to do is walk with the bases loaded.
Feels like Shavana's just so frequently gotten ahead 0-2, 1-2, and then used waste pitches, not necessarily continued to pressure the zone.
Swing and a miss. Big strikeout for Shavana. Oregon goes down swinging. So 2 outs in the top of the 7th. Tigers have the force out at every base. It'll be up to the catcher, Liam Stonestreet. Wipes off the bat with his glove just a little bit before stepping into the batter's box. Shavana trying to maroon the Pirates. Good pitch. Not called a strike. So a 1-0 count for Stonestreet. He's 0 for 2 today. He's flown out and he's lined out into the outfield. Next pitch misses. A 2-0 count for Stonestreet. He's at the advantage in this duel. Shavana ready with the 2-0 pitch. That one misses outside. So a 3-0 count. Threatening to walk in a run. See what Shavana does against the Southwestern catcher. That one misses the zone, so Shavana walks in a run. So an RBI for Stonestreet as he doesn't have to swing the bat to get it. So it is 5-1 at Tiger advantage as Ben Foyer will step up to the dish. Foyer trying to do some more damage. Shavana trying to get out of the inning. That pitch hits the strike zone in the lower corner. So an 0-1 count for Foyer. That one fouled off. So quickly in an 0-2 hole. Shavana trying to leave this inning with minimal damage done. Mims waits on third. Kanata at second. Stonestreet on first. That one put out into right center field. Tigers running over, and the catch will be made. So only 1 run in the top of the 7th for the Pirates as Mims, Kanata, and Stone Street will end up marooned on the bases. Some good play by the Tiger outfielders as we head to the bottom of the 7th. It's time to stretch in San Antonio.
Bottom of the 7th, leading off for the Tigers, left fielder number 8, Max Milligan.
We're done stretching. Now in the bottom of the 7th, Max Milligan will take strike 1 in the lower corner away in the zone. Junior out of Amarillo, Texas. 1 for 1 today. Has walked and has doubled. Fouls that one off in a hole. 0-2. Tigers still up by 4 runs here in the bottom of the 7th as the sun sets. The evening sky starting to settle in here in San Antonio. In a day that, or around this time, we're supposed to get rain, and hail even. But none of that coming to pass. And that one's a line down the left field line. So the beekeeper will head on over to second base. The throw won't get there. So a stand-up double for Max Milligan. As with the 0-2 count, working very well to get on base. Colt Harris gets to work with a runner in scoring position. As number 2 will try to drive in number 8. There's going to be time called. All the Tiger base runners and the bats coming up will have a meeting.
But largely for Southwestern, it's been a very impressive job from Corbett, who's come into this game and largely kept things right where they are. Of course, Ferguson giving up those 3 earned runs in his first 3 innings pitched. And then on pretty short notice, Corbett's come in and he's kept things relatively quiet, at least has limited Trinity from coming across home plate frequently. It's only 1 additional earned run coming across on his watch in the 3 innings that he's been on the mound.
That ball low. So a 1-0 count for Colt Harris. It's an interesting meeting because it didn't look like Stone Street went out to the mound to talk with Corbett. But all the base runners did come in to have a meeting with the Tiger coaching staff. See what they have drawn up. Ground ball fielded by Foyer. The throw to first is in time. So Harris is retired. 1 out in the bottom of the 7th. Perhaps Stone Street just saying a few words from behind home plate during that timeout. Jack Peterson now took the first pitch he saw back in the 5th for a 2 RBI single. See if he remains as aggressive. Bunt shown. Comes sharply off the bat. Foul. That's certainly something in the Jack Peterson toolkit. Is the bunt hit. Not only would he potentially get on base with his speed, but he could move Milligan over to third. 1 for 3 today. Swing and a miss. So, no bunt on the table unless he's willing to roll the dice.
Yeah, not too surprised. I think that first shown offering, take the element of surprise off the table, instead elects to swing it.
The 0-2 pitch. Wisely taken outside.
And I can't blame him. I've seen the numbers here on Tiger Network. A guy that has a lot of pop in his bat. He uses the entire field, and he has some real speed on the base paths to back it all up.
And that pitch way outside the zone. Milligan will head over to third. Still 1 out in the bottom of the 7th. Sacrifice opportunity now. Give all props to Corbett and Ferguson. They've handled Colt Harris well today, coming off a 3 home run performance. Only 1 for 3 in this one. But sometimes that's just how baseball goes. That one fouled off. I don't know if Stonestreet was wincing a little bit. Pulled his hand back behind his glove. But seems like everything is still going as normal. Peterson will take a moment as the umpire walks to the mound. Now back behind the catcher, Stonestreet. Peterson spins the bat. The 2-2 count pitch on the way from Ryan Corbett, but he steps off. So we'll take a moment as they step back into their positions at the exact same time. And swing and a miss. Jack Peterson will strike out swinging. 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th. That'll pass the buck along to Corson Hastings, who now works with Milligan on third.
But a huge strikeout from Corbett right there. Southwestern needed it pretty desperately. That pass ball allowing Milligan to move over to third with just 1 out. Put a great sac fly opportunity into the hands of Jack Peterson. He just came up empty. Had a nice pitch to swing at. That fastball in the inside part of the zone. Just couldn't get the barrel on it. And ultimately, Southwestern continuing to keep things right where they are.
Pitch inside. Stonestreet with the frame attempt, but not fooling the umpire. A 2-0 count for Corson Hastings. A single in the 4th is his lone hit and his 1 for 3 day so far. The 2-0 pitch. Contact made, but fouled back. So now 2-1 will be the count. Tigers still with the 4-run advantage, but certainly looking to extend it. And Corbett certainly has pitched valiantly, coming into a tough spot. And fouled off himself. Hastings will take a moment to walk around the batter's box area. Takes off the helmet and puts it back on. Clear the mind for a moment before getting set to face Corbett yet again. Too far outside. It's a full count for Corson Hastings.
And he does a nice job of clearing the mind after going ahead 2-0, getting something to hit, not being able to connect on it cleanly. The same case in 2-1 count, but ultimately he'll find himself full.
Swing and a miss. Corbett fired up. 5th strikeout for him. That is the end of the 7th inning. Tigers still lead at 5-1. But Corbett pitching very well here in San Antonio.
Top of the order for Southwestern, right field number 10, Jake Harris.
Here in the top of the 8th, it is Jake Harris leading things off for the Pirates. Senior out of Shreveport, Louisiana. The first pitch from Joseph Shavana, blown away for ball 1. And Shavana out after 7 innings of work, looking to do a bit more. That is ball 2. Shavana has thrown 2 balls in a row to the Pirates' leadoff hitter.
And he's also thrown nearly 120 pitches on his evening. As we'll get time called here, and it'll be Lazara heading out to the mound for a visit. Looks like all the coaches staying put at the moment. There's a conversation between pitcher and catcher. But when Shavana came and talked to us after his start last weekend, another game where he threw upwards of 110, 115 pitches, he returned to the mound after what was a little bit of a lengthy break and mentioned to us the next day he's not sure he actually got anything across home plate. Was short on pretty much all of his warm-up pitches, and after being short on his first 2 offerings here, it looks like ultimately Coach Dave Smith's going to come out and take the baseball from him.
After a meeting with Lazara, Coach Smith will relieve Shavana of his duties. He pitches very well, 7 innings, 7 strikeouts, only 1 earned run coming across, and 2 walks issued. A great performance by Joseph Shavana. We will take a quick break on Tiger Network, as now pitching for the Trinity Tigers is Will Hellings. We'll give him a moment to warm up. Back to the Tiger Network. You see Will Hellings' numbers on your screen, a 2.79 ERA. The first pitch to Jake Harris in for strike 1. Inheriting a 2-0 count, now a 2-1 count. Hellings has been an effective reliever for the Tigers this year.
Yeah, he was the guy that came in relief of Joseph Shavana last Friday night in that game that we talked so much about. One thing that we have failed to mention is the fact that Trinity walked away with a victory in that one by a final score of 1-0. So a lot of real high intensity pitches thrown by each of these arms, and they were able to hold the UT Dallas Comets scoreless in that one.
Ground ball foul down the right field line. So a full count for Harris against Hellings. Hellings trying to shut down the Pirates. That one goes behind Harris. It'll be a free pass for him. So runner on first for Southwestern in the top of the 8th, as Christian Malillo will pick up the stick and head back to the plate.
And Hellings came into that game a week ago and was able to retire that first hitter that he faced, even with a disadvantage in the count this time around. Probably would have liked to have those 2 balls that Joseph Shavana threw back at his disposal, but still no harm done. A very comfortable lead of 4 runs here in the top of the 8th for this Trinity team. And Will Hellings, hard-throwing righty who's just trying to overwhelm these Pirates at the moment.
Melillo swings through that one. A 1-1 count. Melillo is 0 for 2 today. Sacrifice bunt in the first. Grounded out to Tinker at third. And struck out in the 6th. That one's fouled off. A 1-2 count now for Melillo. Double play opportunity on the table for Trinity. If Hellings can induce an effective ground ball. Swing and a miss. A wild swing from Melillo will send him packing. And the turbulent waves become even rougher as there's 1 out in the top of the 8th.
Yeah, and in that at bat, Harris did a nice job of getting his foot down early on and at least fouling one of those offerings off. Hellings not being deterred whatsoever, though, getting ahead in that at bat and continuing to go with that fastball.
Throw to second is errant. It'll end up in left field. Everybody is safe. So wanting it to turn the double play, it was grounded sharply to Christian Holloway, but the throw to second just not the best.
Yeah, and always a difficult play right here. Didn't see it immediately off the bat exactly how close Holloway fielded that to first base, but kind of an in-between play. Do you take the force out at first and then try and apply the tag at second? Or do you go to second and have the advantage of the force play at each base? Ultimately, looked like Holloway fields this one a little bit of no man's land as he started to move towards the bag as he was playing in front of it. And then ultimately, Trinity walks away with no outs.
Ball gets away from Lazara, but neither runner moves. Staying at second is Harris and Vaquero at first. So what could have been an inning-ending double play results in a runner in scoring position for Jacob Tanner. 2-0 count. The pitch from Hellings. Low and away. 3-0 count as Tanner trying to draw the walk and load the bases for the Pirates. As Hellings trying to find the zone. And low and away. Nothing doing for Hellings on that pitch, as the bases are now filled with Pirates yet again. 1 out in the top of the 8th. Force out at every base, but there's going to be a meeting at the mound between Hellings, Lazara, and head coach Tim Scannell. Scannell wanting to talk to Hellings himself.
And it feels like more often than not when Coach Scannell comes out, it is just a conversation that's taking place on the mound. Very infrequently do we see changes stem from the head coach venturing out there. It's Hellings who still has the baseball in his hand.
So Maxwell Mims, 4 home runs, hitting .364, 1 for 3 today, singled in the 7th. Struck out looking in the 4th, grounded out in the 2nd. Works with the bases juiced. That one lifted high into the air, out into the outfield. Runner should tag. The catch made by Peterson. And a run comes across for the Pirates. It is 5-2 as Jake Harris tags up on the sacrifice fly. 2 away in the top of the 8th.
Of course, you allude to Mims's power numbers on the year. Just unfortunate conditions here in San Antonio with the wind blowing in for the majority of this one. Just not a day for the power in the bats for either of these squads, really. Not a great opportunity to try and leave the ballpark. And it's not to say that's exactly what Maxwell Mims had in mind, but certainly a situation where it's probably more beneficial trying to keep the baseball on the ground, see if you can't find a way to sneak it through. Or at best, really, you're trying to hit line drives and keep this rally going so late in the ball game.
Alexander Kanata fouls that one off. It's a 1-1 count. 2 outs in the top of the 8th. Kanata working with Vaquero on second, Tanner on first. So a runner in scoring position. Swing and a miss. A 1-2 count. Hellings trying to escape the top of the 8th with minimal damage done as the Pirates draw ever closer. The pitch. That one popped up into right field. And the catch made easily by Caleb Woodward. That'll be at the end of the top of the 8th. 1 run comes across for the Pirates as they score in back-to-back innings. It is still a 3-run advantage for Trinity as they lead it 5-2. We head to the bottom of the 8th inning on the Tiger Network. Ryan Corbett still out there for Southwestern. He's had 4 good innings of work. He's only allowed 1 run to come across as Jack Baker takes ball 1. He'll be the one to try and cook up a good start for the Tigers in the bottom of the 8th. Senior out of Sugar Land, Texas. Takes ball 2. Good eye for Jack Baker.
Baker trying to get back onto base for this Trinity offense as they try and reestablish maybe a slightly more comfortable lead. Sees another one run in on his hands as Ryan Corbett continues to operate for Southwestern. ERA is slowly, steadily dropped for him this evening after he's put together a very impressive long relief outing out of the bullpen.
Finds one for strike 1. It's a 3-1 count. Batter's count for Jack Baker. That one too high. So Baker will go on over to first base, drawing the free pass. Back to the top of the order for Trinity. It is Caleb Woodward. 0 for 3 today. The freshman trying to find his first hit of the night. Southwestern coming into this one 7-8 on the year. They check over at first. They started out their season with the sweep of Sul Ross State, and then were swept by Claremont Mudscripts. Took a midweek loss to UTD. Swept DeSales. Bunt flash. Strike called. Baker stays at first. Won a series against Latorno 2-1. Then lost 2 midweek games, one against Whittier, one against Nichols. So trying to get back to 500 with the win tonight. Bunt shown. Pulled back wisely, as that is a ball. So a 1-1 count for Woodward. Of course, Claremont Mudscripts. The entire SCIAC conference, very tough in baseball. Region 10 is filled with really good teams. The next pitch from Corbett. Decides to check on over. Really doesn't want Baker going to second. Rather not have a runner at his back. So they're going to make sure that Baker stays put at first base. They've induced 2 ground balls from Woodward thus far. That one lined out into right field. Looks like it will be a foul ball. Of course, if you don't know, we are inside the athletic center, calling this one in a classroom. So your blind spots are our blind spots as well.
Yeah, Reed, how big would you say this monitor in front of us is?
Not big enough.
Not big enough. We have 5 different camera angles we're working with at the moment.
One is too high. So 2-2 count.
Really no blind spots, except one, which is that right field corner where that last batted ball wound up.
Full count for Woodward. Of course, we're thankful for all these camera angles that we do get to look at. Try to be the best on the Tiger Network. And yeah, just that one pesky right field corner. Can't even get a good shot in the roof because there's a tree in the way. Woodward fouls that one off. Keeps this at-bat alive. It just seems like every time the batter has an opportunity to put it in that corner, they do. Still a full count. The pitch from Corbett to Woodward. A grounder. Fielded cleanly. They go to second. That's 1 out. And the throw over the first baseman's head. But a fortunate bounce back to the first baseman. Goes to tag Woodward, but did not turn. So they get the lead runner out at second, as Jack Baker will head back to the dugout. But Caleb Woodward will reach on the fielder's choice.
Yeah, and it's just speed replacing speed over there at first for this Trinity offense, as Woodward has shown a willingness to take off and try and take second base, and some of his appearances on the base paths already this season.
And the runner goes for second. The throw. And Caleb Woodward is gunned down at second by Stone Street. As that throw, just an excellent strike from Stone Street.
Yeah, and you can clearly see that one getting in to second base ahead of Woodward. It wasn't really an intentional pitch out, but that's almost what it proved to be, as Corbett's fastball delivery was on the far side of the plate. It wound up just a very excellent pitch to throw on. Stone Street kind of just riding that momentum. Perfect transition as he was taking the ball out of his glove, got him right into that throw, and he put it right on the money.
Swing and a miss as Kai Tinker falls to a knee trying to go after that one. 2-1 count. Tigers still lead 5-2. Ground ball is foul. So a 2-2 count. It is evened up. Of course, our original plan was to be on the roof for this game, but of course the weather being as it was, didn't want to risk it. I'd rather not get hailed on or rained on or really anything on. Sure. You would agree, Luke? Is that one put out into left center field? That one will not get down. A great running play by the left fielder, Christian Melillo. And that'll end the 8th inning. Southwestern down to their final 3 outs. Due up is Trace Oregon, Liam Stonestreet, and Ben Foyer. We'll see if the Pirates can make some magic happen in the top of the 9th.
Tom Delight leading off for Southwestern. Second base number 6, Trace Oregon.
It's the top of the 9th. Trace Oregon, the sophomore out of Houston, Texas, will try and get things started. Shows bunt, lays it down, and it will be unsuccessful. It's going to be fouled. So 0-1 count for Oregon. 1 for 3 today. A single in the second, and then he struck out 2 times in the row, both swinging. That one misses.
We'll see a replay of this right here. Oregon trying to lay this bunt down. It bounced up and got him. You can see the ball bouncing away, but the home plate umpire pretty adamant in announcing that he was still in the batter's box when that ball made contact with him, and for that reason it was just a foul ball. We saw on a different game earlier this season on Tiger Network a similar play. I think it was Maddox McDonald who fouled a bunt off of himself, or at least made contact with that bunt after he had put it into play, but he was not in the batter's box and he was ruled out.
It's a 1-2 count for Trace Oregon against Will Hellings, looking for the save. Now one launched out into center field. Peterson ranging back, makes the easy catch. And one is away in the top of the 9th. So Liam Stonestreet, the catcher who made the nice play behind the plate to catch Woodward trying to steal. We'll now see if he can do some damage with the bat. 0 for 2 today. That one poked foul. Has an RBI. Came with the bases loaded walk back in the 7th.
Yeah, kind of an odd RBI. One of the easier ones he'll get this season. I think it was a 4-pitch walk at that.
Looping breaking ball in the zone for strike 2. Hellings shows off the off speed. 0-2 count for Stonestreet. That one, a little jammer. It is fielded cleanly. The throw to first in time. Great job by Hellings to cover first. As Holloway went to try and field it, missed it. Harris comes to help him, gets it to Hellings, and 2 outs away.
Yeah, just great positioning all around right there. You're right. Holloway gets pulled off the bag trying to field this cleanly. Ultimately, can't do the job himself. Colt Harris ranging over and showing how much range he has out there at second base. He has been quite sensational this year especially. He does glove it And Hellings doing a nice job of retreating over there to first.
This could end it. Baker's throw in time. And the Trinity Tigers get a light show as they open up conference play against Southwestern with a 5-2 victory. A great win for the Tigers in a game that was mainly a pitcher's battle, with the Tigers putting up a 3 spot in the third and a 2 spot in the fifth, proving to be enough to get past the Pirates.
Yeah, it was a very impressive showing from both of these pitching staffs today, especially with an early departure on the Southwestern side of things. Great job from Corbett, who came in and really slowed this Trinity offense with those 5 runs, certainly enough to get the job done, which has kind of been an interesting change of pace this year in Region 10. Trinity team that, of course, wins this one, a low-scoring affair, won last week over UT Dallas by a final of 1-0. There have been some really outstanding performances on the mound from a lot of teams out of Region 10 this year. Obviously, it allows for these offenses not to be put in scenarios where they need to put up 10, 15 runs like we're so used to seeing here on the Tiger Network. But it looks like for some of these squads, it might be a necessity to get back to that point. Southwestern drops the opening game of conference play, just able to put 2 on the board here this evening.
Joseph Giovanna will grab a win number 3 of the season. Greg Ferguson will be tagged with the loss. His record will go to 1-1. For the Tigers, Kai Tinker had 2 RBI, along with Jack Peterson, who had 2 himself, and Colt Harris had an RBI to round off the Tigers' scoring attack. And for the Pirates, it was Maxwell Mims with an RBI and Liam Stonestreet with the RBI off the walk. For everyone in the control room, and Luke Terry, I have been Reed Rosales representing the Tiger Network, and we hope to see you tomorrow, a 2 o'clock pitch time set for Game 2 of Southwestern. Hopefully we'll see you then.